Thank you so much for joining us for our info session today. We are joined by Tanya and Amanda, who will be our hosts. I'm Stuart from Career Exploration. Couple of quick housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded and will be available to Macalester students behind a password wall after this. So if you have friends who you think should get this information, let them know, and we'll have this available soon. And then the event is being captioned as well. So anybody who needs captions, there's a link in the chat to see live captions that are coming up. And I think that's all that I need to tell you, and I'll hand things over to Tanya and Amanda.
Sure, I can start. So thanks again, as Stuart said, thanks for everybody for joining. I'm Tanya Nybakken, and I am the finance program lead for our recruiting for interns and different university events, as well as new finance employees as well. So thanks again for joining today. And Amanda and I have a couple of slides that we're going to talk through, but really if you have questions as we're going through, I encourage you to either go off mute or put something in chat so we can certainly address any questions that you might have as we're going through. Definitely meant to be conversational if possible. So I appreciate those that are interested and have, maybe some questions outside of the information that we're providing today. So certainly stop us, ask questions. You can reach out to us after if something comes up as well. But I'll turn it over to Amanda and let her give some background on herself and what she's going to be covering today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tanya. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the 3M info session. Really looking forward to our discussion. I think this is my third year now working with Macalester, so excited to be back again this year. Tanya, I don't know if you want to pull up the slides. The second one, I've got a brief overview that I'll share, just kind of walk you through my background, and then we'll dive right in. And let's hope technology behaves.
That's right. All right, you can see my screen?
Yep, if we could go to slide 2.
Perfect.
All right, so this is just a quick little background about myself. I said I'm Amanda Hull. I'm currently a finance manager for our safety and industrial business group representing US and Canada. So if you've heard anything about N95 respirators lately, that's where they come from. Things have been very busy for us in safety and industrial, looking at both safety products, directly thinking PPE, as well as some of the tape and adhesive applications that go into building temporary hospitals, test strips, face shields, you name it. So it's been a really fun and very challenging year for all of us here in the business group. From a background perspective, I have a master's of accountancy from Millsaps in Jackson, Mississippi.
So sorry.
And an undergraduate degree from the University of Minnesota Duluth, focused on HR and psychology. I am a fairly non-traditional finance background student, but I also think that's what makes this role so fun. When I think about the population of students that we have that come into 3M and represent the finance organization, I think diversity is one of our biggest attributes. Not only, thinking traditional diversity, race, ethnicity, background, but also education. One of my mentors in the finance organization, her undergraduate degree is metrology. My summer MBA intern undergraduate degree was actually in zoology and public fundraising, and each of them have great things they bring to the role that make it different in their own. So that's one of the things I like to encourage people is you'd be surprised what skills and abilities you have that can translate into being successful in this space. Especially when I think of students at Macalester, looking at a lot of the degrees that we have there that come into 3M, thinking applied math, stats, econ, great backgrounds that we can use heavily here within 3M. I've been with the company for 9 years. I have had 5 jobs in the last 9 years, bridging both our consumer and industrial business groups, spending several years on-site in manufacturing facilities, working in customer-facing organizations. I think that's one of the beautiful things about 3M is the ability to move your career in different industries and different experiences without ever leaving the company. And it's something I fully plan to continue to take advantage of as I look to my next position here. Prior to joining 3M, I actually worked for a tech startup out in Seattle, really focused on global internal controls and compliance. But enough about me, let's talk about 3M. So we'll go to the next slide. And we have a video. Tanya, do we have sound?
Can you hear the video?
No.
Okay.
We may skip it, but I can tell you some of the fun facts in the video in lieu of that because I've seen it multiple times.
All right.
One of the fun facts
Let's go back.
any moment in your life, you're within 3 feet of a 3M product. I can almost guarantee it. You know, whether you think about some of the traditional applications we have, these fun things that I'm sure we're pretty much all attached to these days, the applications are endless. And that's one of the great things about being with 3M. The other fun fact, I think the Hutchinson plant in Minnesota makes enough Scotch blue tape to wrap around the earth 3 times every single year. So another fun fact that wasn't that video or a similar one, but unfortunately we were unable to share with you today. But if you look at 3M at a glance, we have sales in nearly every country. We sell products in about 200 countries, 32.8 billion in annual sales. 4 business groups, as we mentioned, I'm in safety and industrial. We also have a consumer-focused business group. So think all of the fun Scotch Blue, Command, Scotch Tape, Post-its, you name it. Healthcare, and then transportation and electronics, which works with you know, both handheld, mobile, and other electronic applications, as well as the automotive industry. We've got about 93,000, I think it's actually 96,000 3Mers worldwide at this point in time, and over 117,000 patents, 100 plus straight years of dividends, and on the Dow Jones Industrial Index. The one fun fact, over a century ago, after 3M's initial adventure into mining up in Two Harbors, Minnesota, it was joked that our stock wasn't worth a 2-bit shot of whiskey. Today, a single original stock certificate would be worth $500,000. So we've come a long way in the last 100 plus years. If we go to the next slide, no one shaped our culture more than William McKnight, who was hired in 1907 as a bookkeeper and eventually became the president and chairman of 3M. He really left a legacy on 3M, something that we call the McKnight principles, and we still use today. And they really boil down to this: hire good people and leave them alone. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things about 3M is, and it's a fantastic leadership principle, right? We hire and attract the best talent, and we are empowered to, you know, we all have our job responsibilities, right? Things you have to do every day, the list you got to check, but we are empowered to identify and focus on what matters, whether or not that fits specifically within your lane or without of your lane. And I can tell you some of my most valuable experiences at 3M have been when I did take that time to look at not just what I needed to do, what was required, but what was necessary. So there's a lot of space and runway to do that here at 3M. If we go to the next slide. Protecting our planet, sustainability is part of our core. We're committed to protecting the planet as we grow our business. Sustainability really has been a priority for decades. And in the 70s, we actually created a program, call it 3P, or Pollution Prevention Pays, which has prevented nearly 4 billion pounds of pollution globally. You know, the nice thing is that sustainability, you know, being a good corporate steward also, you know, with my finance hat on, doing the right things also has a significant financial benefit. Productivity, waste reduction, not only is it landfill, but it's waste in terms of movement, effort. And we look only in a traditional manufacturing environment, but even in you know, business transaction and procedural roles here today. We're continuing to design products that reduce our customers' footprint while continuously enhancing sustainable practices throughout our supply chain. I think actually one of the neat initiatives we have going on is as we look forward to new product introductions coming down the pipeline, there actually is requirements around sustainability to be built into each of those new product launches. Go to the next slide here. As we shared, we are organized around 4 primary business groups: safety and industrial, transportation and electronics, healthcare and consumer. Again, the thing I would reinforce here is, within the company, you have an opportunity to basically work in any section of the economy that you would like to participate in, which is fantastic. And throughout your career, I have friends, I'll be honest, that they would like a depth of experience. So they may work in a very narrow lane and very deep within either a functional finance role or within a business group. Alternatively, you may be interested in breadth of experience, both in diversity of roles and in businesses, which is where I've fallen in my career. Each path is equally valuable. It really goes down to, what you're interested in and where your skills and interests are. We'll go down to the next slide. Diversity and inclusion is an extremely important part of our culture and also what we define as our success. We strive to create a culture where every person feels supported and included. It's more than the right thing to do, honestly. It helps drive our business success. I actually did a TED search this week on diversity and inclusion for something I'm working on, and I think the top 3 articles that came up in videos really focused on this concept, right? How does diversity and inclusion help drive success? So this is nothing new, and we're certainly not unique, but it's something that we live and breathe every day. It's also a competitive advantage. It leads to fresh perspectives, new ideas, and more creativity. It also enables us to better understand and serve the needs of our diverse customer base around the world. And we've done a lot of work in this area over the past couple of years. This isn't something that is just new in the last couple of months, as we've seen some of the global focus on this increase. This really has been going on for quite some time in 3M. Over the last few years, we've launched a couple of different initiatives. One is called I'm In. That's a global initiative to mobilize 3Mers in 60 plus countries around the world with the importance of valuing differences between us. We also have several employee resource groups, each that has an executive sponsor. 2 of those groups are African American Network and our Women's Leadership Forum, actually just celebrated their 40th anniversary. We put on several events. You can participate in these employee resource networks. They are also, throughout the year putting on events that everybody in the company is welcome to participate in. Flexible work arrangements to allow people to better balance home and work. I think we've taken that to the next level this year. I will be transparent. I worked for a tech company for 7 years prior to coming 3M, where people, and I'm not exaggerating, people wore shorts and tank tops and tattoos, and there was beer in the fridge, right? It was a very progressive culture, right? And coming to 3M, I will say initially 10 years ago, was a bit of a culture shock coming from that environment. But what I have seen in the last 10 years in terms of, both culture and flexibility, we've come light years. And then I think COVID has really helped reinforce the message that we can be as successful, if not more successful, when we leverage flexibility to get our work done. I mean, now we have a workforce who is almost 100% at home, probably through the end of the year, managing kids doing remote and distance learning, other challenges and needs with their family. And I will honestly say I am probably more connected than I have ever been with my team going through flexibility. So I think we've myth busted a lot of the common misperceptions that were out there around flexibility. And then lastly, in 2016, we expanded our paternal leave policy that extends the amount of leave, while also including both biological and adoptive parents. So this, both partners in a relationship where they have naturally or adopt a new child have the opportunity to have leave, and that time period has been extended, which I think has been wonderful to see. We'll go to the next slide. 3M also really believes in investing in our communities. We improve lives through our scientific capabilities. It's in our mission statements, but we also do it through investing in the communities where we live and work. In the last few decades, we've invested nearly $1.5 billion in community around the world. And it's more than just doing the right thing. To attract and retain the best talent in the communities where we operate, we need to be strong, vibrant, and healthy. One of the things I will also say based on personal experience is not just the money, right? What I see on a very regular basis is people putting their time, voting with their time to support communities, organizations that they believe in within the areas that they are. Whether that was, I was in Knoxville, Iowa for several years at a Tate plant, and we were very active in Habitat for Humanity. Here, we're very active. I'm personally very active in diversity and inclusion efforts, in STEM initiatives with some of the schools in the metro area, as well as a few other women's leadership efforts. So I think the beauty is that you are encouraged and rewarded to spend time, energy, and effort giving back and investing, which is great. We'll go to the next slide. This taps in a little bit to the STEM aspect that I just talked about. So inspiring our next generation of leaders. Every year, more than 100, we call them visiting wizards, perform experiments at schools to open up young minds to the wonders of science. We also do a Young Scientist Challenge every year, along with Discovery Education that matches innovators here at 3M with young scientists out in the world as part of a mentorship program to come up with solutions to real world problems. Looking at 2017, one of the winners was an 11-year-old girl with her 3M mentor who invented a device to detect lead in drinking water because she was inspired by the situation in Flint, Michigan. I mean, can you imagine at 11 having access to the mentorship and resources to solve such a big problem? So really exciting to see a lot of the ways that we try and engage and inspire folks to get into science and technology, education, and math right out of the gate. We'll go on to the next slide. So now we're going to transition to talking a little bit more about our global finance organization specifically. And when I say finance, I want to be clear here when we think about the variety of roles and responsibilities that you can have in our finance organization, maybe before we get into some of the details. I think people hear the words finance and accounting and sometimes have a lot of stereotypes about what exactly we do every day. Our roles are going to branch out and cover everything from where I think of very subject matter expert areas, thinking tax, treasury, credit and risk, very, very important and very, very high levels of expertise required to be successsul. We have data analytics organizations embedded not only within finance, but within our business teams, helping drive in programs and initiatives, not only partnering with the business on business initiatives, but also leading and driving their own activities throughout the year. We have folks who are in business council, which is what I do today, which I think of as kind of the right hand of the business, working together with our customers and our suppliers to help drive growth across all of our portfolios. We have traditional accounting roles. And, in addition to being able to transition between different business groups or organizational models, thinking like consumer safety, et cetera, you also have the opportunity to transition between roles in your career. I started, before 3M, I was in audit. I moved to business accounting. I was in a plant. I'm in business finance. I'm very closely tied to our data analytics organization with the work that I do today. So a lot of opportunities. So I want folks to have an open mind when they think about, what the word finance actually entails. Our unique organizational structure enables us an independent and agile position within the company. We actually report separately through finance organization up through the CEO of the company, rather than reporting to the businesses in which we operate. I will tell you that this is a blessing. I've been in organizations that have had organizational structures that align both ways. And I think not reporting directly up through your clients or the leaders in the organization you support gives you the independence and autonomy to ensure that you can raise your voice and make sure 3M is always doing the right thing, right? You don't have to fear like, oh, my annual review is in trouble if I don't agree with my vice president on what the next step is for us, right? You can say it, and you probably have the right information based on data analytics and insights that you've pulled together to provide that counsel. and you never have to be afraid to raise your voice. Quite frankly, the culture with 3M, I can say that even if you did report through them, you wouldn't have to be afraid, but it's a kind of an extra level of assurance. We have about 1,900 global finance employees that report up to the CFO. Monish Pada, I'm going to butcher his name, I'm sorry, he is brand new, Padalawala. He's our new Senior Vice President and CFO. He started August 1st of this year, replacing Nick Gangstead. I've been very impressed. He's participated in some of our team meetings, speaking both on his style of leadership, diversity, and inclusion. And I would say the two words I hear most often come from him, and I've seen him walk the talk, is servant leadership. Really interesting to see somebody at a CFO level really have such a clear idea of his leadership style and intent as he moves forwards and how he wants to see that vision move through the organization. We'll go into the next slide. So this is a view of our finance statement of strategic intent. To maximize enterprise value by leveraging our people, scale, and global resources with integrity. 4 main pillars, right? Partnership, elevating our council to new levels of partnership that deliver insights and impactful business results. I think this is really important. I actually said to someone the other day, I'm not a human calculator, and we're not expected to be, right? We're expected to leverage the data we have available to help partner with our divisions, to offer insights, to provide counsel on, depending on your role, right? How to make your factory more effective, how to grow your business. It really depends where you are. One of the great things too about finance, everywhere that I have been in the organization, finance really has had, we call it like, right hand of the business leader. I would say finance is just as much as part of a leadership team as, the marketing leader is, or the sales leader is, which is nice to see. From a people perspective, focus on enhancing the development opportunities and experiences of our people. We recruit, retain, and recognize employees with meaningful development and career opportunities. And this I'll say is a two-way street. I'm really impressed now that I'm a people manager too, on the time, energy, and effort that goes into looking at our organization, where people are at, what experiences and opportunities they need to develop, and making sure that we're looking at, all the pieces of the puzzle and where they need to go next. It's neat to have that kind of exposure. I will say half of it's up to you. I joke that 50% of my career happened on accident because I was like, hey, that sounds fun, I'll go do that. So also if there's things that interest you, it's up to you to make them known, right? So I would say it's a nice balance of the company and your leadership team looking out for you, but also requiring you to have some initiative, right, to make things happen. Change has been the only constant lately, given the state of the world. But we're looked to help drive corporate strategies for long-term financial objectives through transformative change. One of the big ones, I know we talked about this a little bit last year when we were here, but was implementation of a new global ERP system. And unifying the globe on a single platform for, finance, accounting, and reporting. That has been a huge change, and one that takes, several years to do in a global organization that's as complex as 3M. So change has been a constant for us. And then excellence, delivering world-class service and operational excellence while always protecting the company and acting with the utmost integrity. So we can go to the next slide. When we look at our internship program, one of the key things that it does is there's a list of things it does, but I will say one of the really cool things that it does is it provides you access to our senior leadership team, to the CFO, to our finance steering committee, transparently access that you probably, unfortunately, won't get every day. And when you're in a normal role, right? When part of everyday business, but it's a great way to get exposure to the work that you're doing, to get insights from some very smart senior leadership who can also help mentor you on your path forward, whether it's within 3M or somewhere else that you choose to go. There's a comprehensive onboarding program. They also do ongoing speaker series and career panels. bringing representation from all different areas of finance and business to come speak with the team. They have development-focused leadership. Obviously, we talked about work-life balance and flexibility. High impact and relevant business projects. This is probably one of my favorite on this list, and to me, one of the most important. You're not going to come here and do what I do, or do what Sarah over in accounting does every day, right? Like a 9-to-5 job. Coming into this program, you will be matched with a project that will solve a real need within our business today. We'll look at your skills, your interests, your responsibilities, and then the projects that we have prioritized for the year, and do what we can to best match students with these opportunities. I was fortunate enough to have an MBA intern this year, and one of the things in my business group, I work with channel and distribution, and COVID-19 has had a significant impact, particularly in automotive, metal fabrication, oil and gas. We had a project that she focused on that looked at location, density, COVID exposure, essential business determination, and historical analysis on previous financial crisis to determine our industry bounds, right? Where we need to invest inventory, resources, people to leverage accelerated growth opportunities coming out of the crisis that other companies may not be able to based on inventory position or other headcount restrictions. So it was a project that we actually brought it to our end user sales organization and are currently executing on to help, capitalize on the recovery. So it's a very real and very exciting project. And I'll be honest, I learned just as much, if not more, than my intern did, I think, throughout this experience. So we really enjoy it too. You'll get experience in leading people. A lot of it will be indirect leadership, right? Engaging with parties that you don't have direct control and responsibility for, but that are necessary to get your work done. There's a community involvement mindset, and then formal recognition for quality of work. As part of the program, you'll be presenting your project to our finance steering committee, which includes our CFO, and you'll get very real-time, candid feedback on the results and questions on ways we can use this in other places of the organization. We'll go to the next slide. So program details. Internships are located at global headquarters in St. Paul. Projects are scoped to meet relevant business needs, to solve problems, and match to align with skills, interests, and business needs. Again, that direct visibility and engagement with CFO and senior leaders, along with presentation. I am not sure for next year how internships will work transparently. I think we're all trying to figure things out right now, given COVID-19. Tanya may have some more information, but I will tell you that I was nervous this year having an MBA intern 100% virtual, and I was so impressed with how well it went. I think number one, it takes initiative and drive, right? If you're coming into an organization where you have established no relationship in person with folks, and you have to navigate a network 100% virtually. So we really try and do a good job of providing guidance, contacts, networking opportunities, and there's some responsibility to run with that, right? But 3Mers love to share. And I will say that I have never reached out to someone at 3M to ask if I could have help with something, have an informational interview, what have you, and had someone say no. People love to talk about what they do here. So help will always be available to you. There's a Hogwarts Harry Potter quote somewhere in there that I just missing it right now. We'll go to the next slide. So we will have a full team of interns in finance to offer additional networking support. We also have a company-wide internship program with interns from multiple areas, so there'll be some opportunities to connect across groups. Depending on the state of the world, by the time we reach next summer, happy hour events, trivia, dinners, local sporting events. Tanya, I know you guys did some great virtual events that Amy had shared with me. It's a creative way to, not only team build, but network throughout the course of the year. Typically, there's a tour of our Innovation Center in St. Paul and an end-of-program event hosted by the finance leadership team. From a housing perspective, so the amenities and furnishings within the different locations differ, but typically apartments come with furnishings and features you're looking for in a new home. Fully furnished with a sofa, mounted smart TV, coffee table and TV stand, kitchen with appliances, bedroom furnished with a full-size bed, mattress, underbed storage, and desk. So the housing that they put together is very nice. Again, location dependent, what all the resources and amenities will be, but that is something that is made available to internships in a traditional internship environment. If we go back to a virtual model again next year, we will take things as they come. A lot of you are here already. This presentation is also used for students that are in Texas and Illinois and maybe have never been to the wonderful state of Minnesota. So we always like to highlight that it's not just a snow pile 90% of the year, but rich in cultural scene, music, museums, dance and theater, professional sports teams and events, awesome place for outdoors enthusiasts, shoreline, 19 Fortune 500 companies, more golfers per capita than any other city in the country. So there's a lot to do here. I'm even surprised. I went up north to the North Shore for the first time in my life last week. I went to UMD for college. Mind you, I was in college. I didn't have a car, I wasn't into the outdoors. And I find, now going up there, it's like something brand new to experience all over again. So if you haven't done that, I highly recommend it. We'll go to the next slide. What I really want to get into is an example of some of the projects, because all of this sounds great, right? Every university is going to say, or company is going to say, we're an awesome place to work. We'll provide you housing. Our internship program is great. But, for me, I think about what would I care? What do I get to work on, right? That's what I want to hear. I've updated some of these projects this year based on some of the neat things we did this last round. Leveraging more insights and data analytics in particular as part of the projects and initiatives. So the first one that I want to talk about is an anomaly detection project. So this project looked at increasing sales by reducing sales leakage. And the how was identifying customers for proactive inside sales and marketing engagement, given the challenge to review all 800 plus customers' ordering patterns on a monthly basis. So the task, right, what this intern was tasked with was developing an anomaly detection algorithm for customer ordering patterns to assist, I would say, not just finance, but the business team in providing appropriate and timely counsel for sales and marketing for further follow-up action. So one of the neat things that came out of this basically is a report that looks at declining purchase trends, like, Amanda's Hardware typically purchases, $100,000 a month in widgets. And she hasn't purchased anything for the last 2 months, or she's purchased 50% of what she's historically purchased the last 2 months. Leveraging obviously some much more complex back-end math and analytics, but it then generates automated reporting that goes out to the finance team and the person responsible for that account so they can go have that conversation. When you think about the amount of customers we have, the amount of products we sell, it's very easy to not see something until it's too late. So this anomaly detection really helps us more quickly identify where potential issues with customers might be and have a meaningful conversation with them about what's going on. Some days it might just be like, hey, I lost a customer and we no longer need 467 MP. Other times it could be, Norton came in and they bid you out and we got a better price. So you lost the product with us. And, with that information, even if it's we lost, having that conversation, understanding why can help us be proactive in protecting business as we go forward. So this was a really cool project. Potential to recapture 11.3 million in sales over 6 months specific to our electronic materials division. And one that we're actually right now, I'm working with our team to replicate across safety and industrial business groups. So this was a really cool project. And then the next one, we'll go following slide here. Next one. shamelessly, this was my intern's project, but I can speak to it the best, and I'm also very proud of it, so wanted to share it with you. We put this together in May of last year. So, the economy was really facing unprecedented impacts from COVID, widespread shutdowns, pandemic-fueled recession. We really wanted to understand how would key end markets perform as the economy recovers, who's going to come back sooner and faster, where do we play and how do we win? So what we had the intern do, she did a number of internal interviews across the business, finance, sales team, marketing, identified the key end markets and subsegments, performed a significant amount of analytics on historical industry performance, qualitative industry research and trends, to put together a picture. And the output of this project looked at, industry location density across the country, looked at our exposure as a company. 53% of our product portfolios we serve had above average exposure to COVID-19 impacts as it relates to shutdown, social distancing requirements and operations, et cetera. And then she paired that with looking at industry bounce information, looking at past significant historical financial events and how these industries performed throughout that period and how they recovered. Taking all of this information, analyzing it and bringing it together provided us a focused way to look by geography down. We have 16 sales zones. So we could go to Lake Michigan, right? Automotive industry. We could look at which industries had the highest potential opportunity coming out of COVID. We were able to go down to a zip code and find who do we need to go out and talk to drive growth. So this was a really great project when you think about adding data and insights to what we provide to the sales team so they can go out and act on it. I've been on many sales rides and unfortunately, it's not that prescriptive. Some days I go visit Joe's Body Shop because I just kind of like to talk to Joe. Other days I'm out, maybe I know the IATD portfolio because I worked there for 10 years, but I don't know how to sell or who to reach out to if I want to sell abrasives to somebody, right? So this started giving them much more tangible information to go and base their selling activity on. And we're seeing the results of it. We are seeing capitalization of recovery and a competitive advantage in certain areas against some of our peer companies as a result of using this information. This is the stuff that gets me really excited. These are projects that actually make a difference in how we do things every day. And they don't just disappear and go to bed the second you leave on August 5th, right? They live on. And that's something that's really important to me. I know we've all worked on things where we've spent, months putting time, energy, and effort into it. And the second we stop it, it floats away, right? We don't want to see that happen to the work that is done here. Which is why we ensure we're really focusing on solving real firsthand problems. We can go to the next slide. We can skip that one. This is just a summary of a few pieces of feedback we've gotten from internship program alumni. You can see here, I won't read all 4 of them to you today, but the first one, my time in the program gave me a great opportunity to learn and work in a variety of styles. And daily interaction with team members provided an opportunity to see what it would be like to work at 3M full time. And my project allowed me to apply my financial knowledge in a real world setting while challenging me to think outside the box to address a problem. So nice feedback here. And then finance program full-time overview. Full-time areas of assignment include, or project areas of assignment include business finance, counsel, auditing, accounting, tax, treasury, FP&A, and analytics. Exposure to multiple facets of the business while providing database counsel to business partners and endorsement from executive management. Also, ongoing training and development, formal mentoring in a buddy program, networking opportunities, and full-time hires gain exposure to leadership and future opportunities through 2 to 3 year assignments across different functional areas over a 2 to 4 year period. This is one thing we get a lot of questions about. I know some of our peer companies in the area have, formal rotational programs where, your first 2-4 years in the program, you're going to spend time, you're going to go to audit, you're going to go to, business. You're going to go, to a more functional finance role. And while I will say we do not have that formal of a program, I will say those opportunities will naturally present themselves. When you look at the average tenure of someone in finance, I think it varies, but it typically runs about 2 to 3 years in a role before, an individual moves to their next development opportunity. And again, there is a lot of discussion that is had about the team throughout the year on, how are they doing? Are they well suited for their role? Are they ready for their next opportunity? What are they interested in? What do we think they need to make sure that that development is happening? So wanted to share that with everyone. We'll go to the next slide. Again, once, should you, have a full-time opportunity at 3M, as I said, it can be kind of a choose your own adventure, right? Combining that kind of HOO process with, your own initiative and interests can really provide for an interesting career path. I was actually just using this tool over the weekend. They've got a great set of finance resources that looks at, where in your career do you want to go? And what are the hard and soft skills that you need to get there? And you can make a little map and you can say, here's the things that I believe that, I'm, proficient, expert, novice at, and here's what I need to do to go to the next step. And so you can start putting together a specific plan that says, hey, I'm really good at technical accounting and I'm pretty good at analytics, but maybe my weak spot is I'm not great at presenting, right? Maybe I need more experience using my work to influence others. So where can I focus on getting more opportunities to translate my information into action? So it's a really great resource. And it's one, like I said, I just pulled it out this weekend to work on, where do I want to go next? And I found it extremely helpful. We can go next. Top candidate characteristics. So what are we looking for when we are recruiting? Obviously technical, finance, and accounting expertise, highly collaborative, experience engaging with external parties and associations. I would also expand this to say, like comfort and experience, engaging with parties maybe outside of your own, specific area. A lot of the work, a lot of these projects is going outside of finance and working with a sales team, a marketing team, a plant, to get the work done. Ability to make decisions, leveraging qualitative and quantitative analysis, capacity to optimize growth while managing risk, strong leadership, written and verbal communication skills. One of the big things is ability to translate complex or technical finance information into a compelling story, right? How do we take all of the work that we do and bring it to that non-finance community and get them to take action with it? Natural curiosity, a self-starter, comfortable taking initiative, and ability to adapt to changing landscapes. I will say even within these projects, one of the things that we witnessed was there was something we very much believed to be true. We had a hypothesis and we went through the analytics process and it turned out we were completely wrong. Like our gut instinct was totally off and we went, oh God, what do we do next, right? We had to stop and take a time out and not get so down or intimidated by a failure that the project was done. And actually we came up with a much better outcome than I think we would have had we had that failure. So I will say like ability to embrace change and adapt is critical. And next one. So what are the next steps? Tanya, do you want to walk through next steps with the team?
I sure can. Thank you so much for going through all those slides. Really the next steps are, if you've been listening and it sounds like something that you're interested in and you feel that your skill sets are right in line with the characteristics, I encourage you to complete the application. And you can just go to the 3m.com careers page. And if it's easier, the internship job rec number is written down there. Otherwise, you can just put internship in the search panel, and then it'll pull up, all the internships. So some of them might be engineering or whatever. So just search for the finance internship and, make sure you're doing the applicable one, whether it's the MBA or undergrad. And then we're looking for, the applications and resumes to be submitted soon. We're going to start reviewing our applicants now within the next week. So if you are interested, I encourage you to go out and fill out the applications and submit the information right away. And then we'll begin, as it says there, we'll begin going through screening applicants. And I know our talent acquisition team has already started screening some applicants and pushing them, those that fit the qualifications and everything, pushing them on to me for review. And so we'll be getting back to individuals, I would say within the next 2 to 3 weeks, to let them know if we're setting up interviews with them, and then hoping to have everything all kind of wrapped up, in November, of course, before we go on kind of like the Thanksgiving hiatus, which is later in November. But that's kind of the plan at this point.
And then, Tanya, will we be leveraging Handshake as well? I believe typically in the past we use Handshake for submission. I see Stuart's got his hand up, so I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Stuart.
So just want to make sure everybody knows that we will have a McAllister interview day for this internship in October. So to be eligible for that, people need to apply through Handshake, and the deadline is this Sunday, October 4th. And I know a couple of you have already applied, which is great. So for the rest of you, you've got until Sunday, October 4th to submit an application for the finance internships. And then they'll have a schedule in Handshake where you'll be able to pick a time slot and have a bunch of McAllister interviews back to back.
Excellent.
Great.
Hey, Tanya, I got one question online. If there's interest in full-time opportunities for graduating seniors, how should folks proceed if they're interested? Is it, just again, reaching out to that 3M Go and looking for current opportunities that may be available there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we're not doing any recruiting right now for full-time opportunities. However, you always do have the opportunity to go to our website and look at the different opportunities that are right now actively looking for candidates for their full-time positions. So there are, a number of positions available at 3M. So you can certainly go and look at those and see which ones might fit the needs. But right now, we're not actively recruiting for that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions that we had?
Yeah, I think one of the other questions, and I know this is always a popular one, applications from international students.
Yeah, I've gotten that question quite a bit. So from an internship perspective, we do not have the ability to sponsor individuals that aren't able to be here. So if you require sponsorship to be involved in the internship, then that will make you ineligible for the internship.
And I believe the current corporate policy is PhD level and above, unfortunately, for sponsorship right now.
Yeah, and since we don't actively recruit for that, that kind of wakes them up.
Would you, Tanya, be able to stop sharing your screen and maybe you can
Sure.
see people if they have other questions?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Arkady. I have actually a question.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank you for all the helpful insights and overview about the company and the positions within it. So in order to understand the culture of the company better, I would like to ask the following question. So Amanda, the question to you, what is a favorite project you worked on at 3M? And the question for Tanya is, what does it take to be a top performer at 3M?
Excellent. And so I'll take the first one. I believe it was, what was my favorite project? I would say outside of the most recent intern project that I've been working with, I will say there's probably two different projects that come to play. One earlier in my career when I was working in the plant, I actually led a quality hold inventory reduction project, which again, traditional non-finance activity, but was able to actively lead a project to reduce over $3.5 million of inventory out of the plant. Having a project where you can physically see the impact that you have had in the warehouse of the efforts that you made. For me, that was really fun because that was the first time I really went, wow, I can take what I do and actually make a physical, tangible difference in operations here at this facility. And it was really empowering for me to see. And I think I've taken that forward with me from there to reinforce the belief that what I do does make a difference and can make a difference in the way we operate every day. I will say some of the other favorite but most challenging projects have really been around organizational design. So again, a fairly non-traditional project when you think about what finance is typically involved in, but actually with Advanced 3M, which was rolled out this year, I was very actively involved in designing our USAC in Canada selling organization. So I think the ability to work on projects, again, that are really outside of maybe my traditional lane and that have real impact on 3M are what makes me excited to come to work every day.
Great. And I can answer your question. So I'm not sure if you mean specifically what makes a top performer as an intern or as an overall 3M employee. So I can kind of talk to both. I would say, time and time again, what I hear about the interns and when I talk with the supervisors that are supervising the interns over the summer, the top thing that I hear over and over again is whether or not that individual is one that takes initiative, is a self-starter, is not afraid to kind of take their project on and make it their own and start figuring out what the problems are and what solutions might be available without having to have somebody specifically walk them through, step by step what needs to be done. Even though if the project might end up going in a different direction from where the team initially started, but just to have that kind of that power or that confidence to take that on and show that you are capable of kind of thinking outside the box and looking at the bigger picture and running with a project on your own without having to have somebody walk you through it. I would say a lot of that actually kind of holds true to somebody that's full-time at 3M as well. There's multiple times that you have to make decisions. I mean, you can't have somebody telling you how to do things or what you should do every step of the way. There's many decisions that you have to make and you have to own that too. So you have to have the confidence in what you're doing. You have to do the due diligence to know what the right answers are or have the information to be able to back up what your decision was that you made. And then also have the courage to stand up and say, if somebody else disagrees with you, this is why I did this. And here's the data to back that up and kind of stand, and they always say, don't be afraid to fail, so sometimes you might be wrong, but sometimes you might convince other people that your way is the right way. And you have to have that kind of that perseverance to push through, I would say, in a lot of different situations that you're in as a full-time employee as well. Amanda, do you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I think you hit on it very much. I think the initiative, the ability to be a self-starter, to not require direct supervision to get everything done. I would also say always be professionally skeptic, right? There's a lot of things that come up on a daily basis that, this is the fun place we get to use data analytics to kind of help prove. And, I have the fortune of working with individuals who have been in the type of role that they are in for a very long time. They have a lot of experience. And that can be good and bad. Their first instincts or their opinions about what might be happening in a situation is based on experience and not necessarily on the current facts at hand. Being willing to say, I don't know if that's true or not, and then going to find out and bringing the information back to them, I think is critical. So I like to say trust but verify all the time.
Thank you. It was really interesting to hear it from both of you.
Thank you for the question. Anything else? Or anything that you would want to know more about the program itself or kind of how that works?
I have one question about the application process. So if we apply through Handshake, do we need to apply externally on 3m.com as well, or no?
Yeah, I know it's kind of a lengthy process, but yeah, unfortunately you do. The Handshake, as Stuart mentioned, the Handshake is actually just going to, set you up for the interviews with myself and Amanda, and to let us know that you want to do the interview, and then going forward after that to actually show interest in 3M, you actually would have to do the application at that point too. So I wish they were linked, but unfortunately they're not.
Yeah. Is it fair to say, like from a priority perspective, I think getting Handshake in, given the timeline and application process, I think that's the priority, and then the 3M application can come after. So that won't preclude you from participating in interviews if you have not gotten that application into 3M.
If I can add one quick thing, for people who would like help with their resumes, we do have virtual drop-in hours on weekdays from 3 to 4 Central Time. So if you've got a resume and you want feedback, you can do that.
That's nice.
I might need to take you up on that.
Wait, no, you're not going anywhere.
Kidding. No, that's I would encourage you to have that. I think that's one of the interesting things when you think about just basic things, getting prepared for an interview process, that resume, good, bad, right, or wrong, is the first impression. And there's little things that can stand out right away. And when you think about, finance traits, like attention to detail, right? There's the first one right there, spelling. There's some pretty easy things that, I think having a second set of eyes can really help you, make sure you root out. And I would also say to, make sure you highlight and take ownership of the things you're able to drive, where you can show results on the things that you've worked on, where you are in your professional journey and experience, is different, but having seen what I have seen out of the students from Macalester in the past, you all are engaged in so many things and working on such unique extracurricular activities. I'm confident that there are many things that you can bring out to highlight that show, your ability to lead a team, to manage conflict, to make a decision, to solve a problem, get something resourced, so, make sure you take a 50,000 foot look at those experiences and see how that might translate to, the professional environment. I always say, unless you're a brain surgeon, like if you're a brain surgeon, I really want you to have technical expertise in, but I think a lot about what we do is, there's a aspect of it, but there's key things like, do we play well with others? Can you lead? Can you prioritize? That are really important characteristics that are also part of a complete package.
Yep. And I would also add on to that and say, there's different things that you could add into resumes that, that kind of pull that financial piece into it a little bit, and the connection kind of makes the connection a little bit more for finances. So, some individuals, maybe they have worked at a place where, they were cashiering, or they dealt with money or whatever, but they focus more on the fact that, I helped customers as they came up or whatever, but also you dealt with money, or so try to pull the financial piece in there a little bit too, if possible, if there's some connection there, just to show that, you've dealt with, keeping budgets or whatever the case may be. That's helpful as well. All right. I know we are at time. So I want to be respectful of that. So, as I've mentioned, I think, Stuart, are they able to connect with you if they wanted additional connection with myself or Amanda or anything? They could do that, reach through you?
Yeah, whatever you'd like. If there's an email address that you want to share with them, that's fine. Otherwise, if you want people to go through me, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly put my email in the chat if that is helpful.
And Tanya, you can throw mine in there too. And I apologize, I have a 1 o'clock that I am responsible for presenting at, so I need to go to now.
Thank you so much.
But thank you guys.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Amanda. Full disclosure, I don't know Amanda's email off the top of my head. So
I'll
if
get
you do want to connect with her, I can definitely connect you to her as well too. So I put mine in the chat. So great. Well, Stuart, thank you so much for putting this together. And I look forward to hearing from any of you that are interested in connecting more. And hopefully we'll see some of you in the interviews, the upcoming interviews. Good luck to you all. I know everybody is kind of trying to navigate this weird experience. I see some of you have masks on, so you're in like a public space right now, and some of you are in homes. I'm obviously in my home, so it's very strange. So good luck to all of you. I know it's a challenging time, so feel free to reach out if you have any other questions or concerns or anything as well.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Yep. Bye-bye.